So Intel just dropped earnings, and as expected, the stock got destroyed. Just like every single time Intel in the last year has reported earnings, the stock has crashed not crashed, but the stock has fallen every single time. But this time around, this was like the worst one yet. The stock fell almost 12% after it dropped earnings. And so what did I do after I saw this earnings report? Your boy bought more. Let's talk about why I did that in this video. All right? Whoosh. What's going on, people? It's your boy Kalechi back with another video. If this is your first time around these parts, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy anything that we talk about on this video, hit that like button. Turn that thing, say it with me now, blue. But anyway, like I was saying, we're talking about Intel and just how much the stock got smashed after it dropped earnings. And your question is like, wait, why did that happen? What did they announce? Well, there are two main reasons that I'm thinking that this happened with Intel and the stock actually fell this much. The first reason is they barely missed revenue estimates. They were supposed to bring in 18.24. They were expected to bring in $18.24 billion in the last quarter, but they only brought in $18.1 billion. But I think the thing that's really weighing more heavily on people's mind is the guidance that Intel gave for the rest of this year. They guided that they're only going to have gross margins be about 57%, which is still ridiculously a lot. That's a lower guidance than what they've had historically. Usually they're around the 60% gross margin rate, but now they're dropping that all the way down to 57% for the rest of this year. But the ironic thing is they've been giving us this information for a while now with the new direction that they're going in, with Pat Ginsler, who is the new CEO, taking them in a new direction and trying to invest more in the business rather than just doing share buybacks and all that other nonsense. He's been saying like, look, we're going to be investing in the business. We're going to be spending a whole lot of money in CapEx to ensure that we're growing the business. You can see it right here. They're expecting they're going to spend at least $20 billion in CapEx this year alone. And so with that going into it, they're like, yo, we're going to be spending money and it's going to hit the bottom line. And that's just the bottom line of it. But they've been telling us this. As a matter of fact, last quarter, they actually said it's going to be 56.7% gross margin, and it's actually now improving. They're actually telling us that it's going to improve, and yet people are even panicking worse than they did initially. You can also see like free cash flow is actually going to be higher than what they expected. They expected it to be about $11 billion, but now it's going to be $12.5 billion. It's just shocking to me how news is reacted to. Like, for me, when I look at this news, I'm like, this is amazing, positive news. I'm like, yes, they're investing back in the business. They're trying to fight back. They're trying to do all the right things. This is wonderful news. But that's not how people who are analysts, people who are doing just like 3-month trades, they're trying to look at quarter over quarter over quarter rather than looking at long term of the business. This gives us who look long term an advantage. So this is why we can start buying this stock. I mean, this is right around where I would say Intel is right now trading right around fair value. I'll say it's around $45, $44 is around fair value, but I'm not one to be like, oh, it's so close. It's not exact. I'm not going to wait that long. Like, what is $45 to $49? I don't care. I'm going to keep buying just like I've been doing and buying into this company. Plus, it's paying you a nice little dividend of 2.8%. I don't mind that. I will take that every single day and run away with that to the bank. So that's what I've been doing. I've been investing in Intel. I continue to buy Intel. I just don't see anything changed in the thesis that I had for this business. Everything still stands as far as Intel is concerned. A couple of numbers that I was paying attention to is one, their operating expenses and operating income. You can see a flip-flop that's happened between last year and this year. Last year, they had a much higher operating income because they weren't spending that much on the business. This year, their operating income is going down because they're investing a lot more. You can see it with their expenses going up. You can see that flip-flop with these two numbers in the last 9 months. It's not really reflected that strongly in the last 3 months when you compare last year and this year, but you can see it on this year as a whole with some of the moves that they are making to make sure that they're investing back in the business so this business can be on par with companies like AMD, Nvidia, and all those that the world loves right now. Like, if you compare Intel to Nvidia or AMD, like, people love those stocks right now. People are engrossed with those stocks and buying the crap out of those stocks. And we over here with Intel, which is kind of boring because they're a little bit behind in the technology wise. And plus Apple just dropped them as a contractor. So it's like, there's a lot of negative things surrounding Intel, but they are putting things together to change the future for this company. The other good thing that I'm excited about, I talk about it every single week when it comes to Intel, is I don't want to see no share buybacks. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see no share buybacks because that's one thing that has hampered Intel in the past. We can see the share number have dropped a little bit, but we can see like last year they were doing share buybacks and the business was not in a position to be doing share buybacks. That's one of the reasons why Intel was behind. I'm not a big fan of share buybacks in general for most companies. There are some that can do it and do it really well, but for a company like Intel, they weren't investing nearly enough in capital expenditure, which allowed other companies like AMD to steal their shine. And then it even made Apple look into making their own chipsets and making amazing chips, by the way. I mean, those Apple M1 chips are unbelievable. I made an entire skit about Apple creating the M1 chipset.
Why is my key not working? Yes. Hey, Apple, my key wasn't working. Weird, right?
No, it's not weird. I changed the locks.
Apple, what's going on? What's all this?
Told you I needed more power and more efficiency, and you could never deliver.
What do you think I've been doing? I finally got rid of all my bad influences, and I'm investing back into business. $20 billion in new manufacturing and fabrication processes. Didn't you see the report?
It's a little too late, Intel. I had to handle things on my own. I'd like to introduce you to somebody. This is M1.
Hey man, what's up? I'm M1. Apple, are you really about to throw away 16 years?
Yes, Intel! Yes! You're still on 4 core! Even AMD is going past you! See, M1, he understands me. His hardware works perfectly with my software. So I'm gonna need you to leave. I don't want to see your face around here anymore.
Apple, just give me one more chance. Just give me...
And those chips are amazing. They're so good for what they offer you. And so you forced the hand of Apple and now they're doing great things. So Intel has to pick it up. Like they said, they're going to try and build out the foundries and they're doing good things. They're moving forward with the roadmap of their new 7 and 5 nanometer chips that we talked about the last time we looked at their earnings. So overall, when I look at Intel, nothing has changed. The story remains the same. As long as, I mean, it's a negative story right now because they're still behind and they're compressing their margins to invest back in the business. But when they finish investing in the business, we should begin to see some turnaround. Let me know what you think about Intel. Is this a bad investment decision that I'm making? Or do you think Intel can have this turnaround vision that I'm envisioning for the company? Let me know. Put it down in the comments. I'm gonna catch you up in the next one. Remember, generosity is always greater than greed. God bless each and every single one of y'all. And your boy is out of here. Peace!